people feel a need to constantly, and they feel a right to comment on your body. Like, it's just weird. And especially as a young child.
You don't feel comfortable.
And don't tell me, Rahel, like, you look so good, like, you've lost so much weight. It's like, I look good now. There was nothing wrong with me before.
Welcome to another episode of the Bittersweet Podcast. I'm your host, Wintana.
And I'm Rahel.
And the energy is just super right today.
Yes.
I mean, we're back in the studio.
I know, after how long?
It's literally like screaming professionalism.
I know.
It's screaming podcasters.
It's screaming, like, just good vibes and good energy. Like, the way it makes a difference to everything. You know,
I know what you mean.
Vibes.
It's like when you have the right workspace, you can actually do what you need to do. So it kind of, obviously that is with everything that you do. So being in a studio feels like we can have this conversation.
Yeah, and the way we used to do the most, like, setting up at your house.
I know.
Like,
the thing is, it's like, it can be comfortable though, being in a house as well. It's just like,
you know what? I don't like it's like working from home. I don't like mixing that, like, a hobby or like passion with like being at home.
Yeah, no,
it's
home
like,
is home.
Yeah. Plus, like, I have to like track it to your house, and it's like,
yeah. I mean, I get that part as well. I was living life because I was just like,
yeah, literally
setting up at home. But this is nice. Like, I feel like it's been like a year since we've actually been back in the studio.
Yeah. How wild.
It's cute.
No, more than that.
Has it been more than a year?
What do you mean?
I have no concept of time. Do you not understand that?
It's been 2 years. The last time we were in a studio was 2020. We were like living live. It was just like a different time. And then we had to be like ghetto and like literally do it on Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom live. And I feel like we've been through it. We're just like the friend that is like the couch surfer friend.
Yeah.
But like the Bittersweet Podcast, the couch
I know,
surfer.
we've literally been everywhere. Like, when did we
Everywhere.
start? We started at, like, on your couch with a phone. We graduated to just like filming at a house, and then we got the studio.
And then we went back to the house
back to Zoom. And then sometimes we would do it at my house, sometimes we do it at your house. Like, it was just like,
and then now it's and then it was like, yeah, it was like consistently after a while just filming at my house, and then now here we are. It's been a journey.
yeah, I mean, it's the hustle, that's for sure.
But it feels good.
Yeah, it feels great.
How was your week?
Yeah, my week was nice. I mean, yeah, standard vibes. I'm really living the life right now because I've been working from home for the past literal 2 years.
Yeah.
Which has been a blessing.
The fact that you have to go back, how do you feel?
I just don't know how I honestly don't know how I'm going to hack it. It's so weird. I don't know. I think it's going to be one of those things that, like, you just get used to. Because, like, you've been back. I'm in
and out. I don't like it. I like to work from home. I like the mix. So when we were working from home,
yeah,
and everybody couldn't be outside, I was like borderline. I couldn't handle it because it was just like, it's an apartment, a small apartment. I have my bedroom and I have the living room, and then I have the dining table, which is it's just one area. So I was like, what am I doing? I'll move from one place to another place, and then we couldn't go out. So I didn't like that. But now that I can go out, and then I have to be at work, I'm tired. Like, I want to, the balance was there. I could be out with my friends, and then I could just work from home.
I know.
It's too much.
Yeah, the social fatigue is, like, so real.
Yeah, and, like, I think I get so much more done in my life, in my day, when I'm working from home. And I feel like I can work from home. Do you get what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because, I definitely feel like I can be productive at home. Because some people say, like, it's a situation, like, they feel like they can't, get shit done.
Yeah.
But no, like...
We had, like, someone from my work saying they're, like, 40-year-old, like, literally leaning over, taking a nap between...
Yeah, that's literally me.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like, okay, yeah, then that's the same shit.
I
was trying to defend you, but, like, that's literally the same thing.
That's literally me. I take, like, 50, like, power naps.
Do you think they know that, though? Do you think they know people are just, like, not working?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they understand that it's, like, as long as you're getting shit done, as long as you're not actively like slacking and not, you know, because I know people that just like fully like don't rock up to meetings and stuff like that. Like they take the piss, or they just don't answer their work phone, or like they'll be unorganized and not prepared, you know, where it's like you're obviously just like not doing your job. But I feel like if you're completing everything that you were supposed to complete, if you're in the office, then like what's the issue?
I mean, it just depends. Like some places they love to like micromanage, and just like, and that's why I'm just like, I don't like that, because just it's kind of like, this is what I need to do, I'll get it done, that's it. Like we can just, but we don't have to have 10 meetings in one day. We really don't. Anyway, I'm not about to talk shit about my workplace on this podcast right now. It's actually blessed. Life is good.
Anyway,
before we move on, can we just talk about this weather? Like, I'm not trying to be the girl that talks about the weather, but what the hell is going on?
I don't know why you're shocked. It's like,
no, because I literally nearly died of a heat stroke before you. You know when you're just panicking if you don't know what to do? That was me yesterday. I'm like, why is every room the same temperature? And it's like way too hot. And I was just like, it's like you kind of struggle to breathe in the heat. I'm being serious.
You're being so dramatic.
Just think about it. And this is why I love Wintana and will always stand by it, because I can always put on an extra layer of clothing. I can do whatever I want to do. When it's cold, I know how to make myself comfortable and warm. When it's hot, it's just discomfort.
What about have you heard of an air conditioner before?
Yeah, but then they get too cold. Like, who wants it? Unless you have to sit in the living room with the air conditioner on and a blanket on. Because then it gets cold. It's like, what's going on? I
don't know. Melbourne, not Australia, has like hectic heat. Like, we're a hot country. But I just like summer, like the vibes.
The vibes of summer is good, but like you're not going to literally, if it's like over 30, like I'm getting to 33 degrees now. Yeah. You're not going to catch me outside. You're really not.
Well, I mean, at the very least.
Winter nights. Summer nights.
Yeah. Summer nights.
You will see me outside summer nights. But summer day, 33 degrees, I'll be in my room.
Beach weather.
No, I don't go to the beach. I don't go to the beach during the day, like when it's just so... I remember one time, I'm going to give you a story. I went to the beach with my friend. We were like overseas traveling. And he was like, oh, let's go. It was so hot. And I just didn't want to go, but I was like, all right, well, obviously there's only 2 of us, so we have to go. And I was like, to get to the beach, it was like the biggest mission of my life, Rahel. Like, it was almost like we had to climb down a cliff. And the cliff had, do you know what the cliff had? This is the type of shit that happens to me. The cliff had a rope that you have to like hold onto while you pull your body down. Do you know what I'm talking about? The whole time I'm thinking, fuck this, I didn't even want to come. Can you imagine? I'm just like literally holding my body down while I'm like jumping down. And then we got to the beach. There was no shade. There was nothing. It was like a rock, like the bottom of the cliff, obviously, and the water. And so I was just like, okay, well, like this is just shit. So I just had to, I remember like there was this little bit of like shade that I kind of sat under. And I'm like, I'm so hot now, I need to go into the water. I didn't even bring any clothes. I didn't bring bathers, nothing, because I didn't want to swim.
Why wouldn't you bring bathers?
Because I didn't want to swim. I didn't think it was going to be a beach day. I thought it was going to be like we walk past the beach.
Oh my God.
You can like dip your toes in and then we'll bounce. But it was like this whole thing. The only thing I was thinking about was climbing up the cliff to go home. It was just so devastating. Oh my God, I need to show you these photos. I don't know if you've seen them before, but do you remember there was like one of me in the water and I was like...
Wait, so did you swim?
No. I dipped my toes in but I was wearing a dress, so it's like...
It's literally your L for not bringing bathers. At least bring them. Like, did you not take into consideration the weather?
No, because I didn't want to swim. Do you just like never decide that you just don't want to swim? Like it's just not for you?
No. That's literally never happened to me before in my life. So...
I've known you for 2 years and not once have we gone to the beach. And
You've known me for 2 years?
3 years and not once have you gone to the beach and you decided to swim.
I always swim. And when the fuck do we ever go to the beach?
That's my
We've
point.
literally been to the beach like twice.
That's my point. Like, for someone who enjoys the beach. Anyway, look.
I literally... Oh
Do you
my
remember?
god.
That was that day. The amount of trauma I was going. Oh my god. Oh my god, that was so funny. Anyways, do you want to introduce this week's topic?
Yeah, I do. Let's like switch it up. So before we get into our insecure review, which is, for those who don't know, a new segment that we're doing before each episode. So before we get into that, I just want to touch on what our episode this week is going to be. So we're going to be like loosely talking about body image, more specifically health, taking care of yourself, and also unrealistic standards of what our bodies are supposed to be. And we'll also you know, we're also going to be talking about diet culture and, you know, just the toxicity around society's expectations of the perfect body when no one has that. What's the perfect body?
What is the perfect body?
And we're going to just be like touching on our experiences of that, all of that as well. So yeah, that's the topic. But before we get into that, shall we...
Let's break down what happened in season 5, episode 6 of Insecure. There was a lot happening in this episode. Like, I rewatched it because I was like, okay, there's a lot happening. It's like, firstly, the whole... Let's just like break it down. So we'll firstly talk about the whole Issa Condola situation with Lawrence. I have to ask you. So for people who don't know, Issa was in the hospital. Lawrence was there with Condola, his baby mama, who obviously there's that awkward tension between all of them. So Issa sees Lawrence and she's thinking, like, obviously she's thinking all these things, walks up to them. I don't know if that was, you know how Issa's always doing stupid little, like, she makes shit up in her head?
Yeah.
If this was the scenario for you, what would you do if your ex, your man, well, I guess he's not her man, but the guy that she had a baby with, her baby daddy's ex, walks up to her, Yeah. So what would you do if your baby daddy's ex is in the hospital, walks up to you, and she's like, oh my god, congratulations, like, blah, 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 let's put this awkward stuff. Would you offer, because Condola said, oh my god, like, thank you, like, let's put it, like, let's not talk about the whole awkwardness. She's like, do you want to hold the baby? Are you giving her your baby to hold? Or would you even offer that?
No.
You're doing too much.
Yeah, you're doing... But you know what? The thing is that Condola and Issa, like you've said before, they were friends before all of this. So they have a different dynamic of relationship. Like, she knows that Issa is a good person and that regardless of everything that's happened, like, she's still a G. And Condola knows that. But if the situation was that I didn't really know that person and... Well, no.
Yeah.
There's no way.
There's no... I guess so, actually. That's a good point. Because I didn't really think about it like that. I was just kind of like, why would you offer her, like, your baby? Like, why would you say, hold my baby?
That
it's
part,
so random.
like, threw me, though. I was like, whoa. When it's like, she's obviously daydreaming or something, and she just, like, kicks her in the bed.
What? You want some too, nigga?
And he's like... What do you think about Lawrence moving?
Yeah.
Do you not remember in the episode, when we were talking about it last week?
What did we say?
We were talking...
Oh, he was going back and forth, you have to move.
And I was like, I feel like he moved. And then you just, like, ignored me. But I was like, I feel like in the next episode, like, he's gonna move, you'll see that he's moved.
I feel like that kind of makes him a decent person. Because it's like, well, now you're obviously trying to be in the picture. Like, you're not just trying to have this baby on the side.
Yeah.
So, like, he's kind of made that commitment. It's weird, though. Do you feel like Issa and Lawrence could have worked out? Because I feel like now she's like, he's moved, like, this was the love of my life. The whole thing was like, you know, thank you for, like, the whole between Condola, even though it was Issa's imagination, it was, a lot of it was like, thanks for passing him on to me on a silver platter. Like, do you think that Issa is regretting her choice? Do you think so? Yeah,
I think that she is.
Do you think that she's not a good match with Nathan?
Nah.
Hmm.
And I'm not even saying that because we can talk about it because of their fight at the end. I just feel like she's in love with Lawrence. And the only reason... So throughout all of Insecure, the only reason that they haven't been together is due to circumstance. It hasn't really been... It's always been things like outside of her control. Like, she would have been with Lawrence, like, through thick and thin if he wasn't such a bum. And she would have been with Lawrence if he didn't go and have a baby with another woman. It's like stuff that's like out of her control. So whenever she sees him as seemingly like available, it's like she has like those
thoughts is
regrets.
like, yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, if I was her, I'd be regretting it. What do you think?
That's actually a good point. I don't know. I feel like Issa has grown to the point where I think her and Lawrence is like, it's a good memories. Like, we were in love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had all this together, but I also feel like she's like grown. Like, not that they've outgrown each other in a way. I just feel like, even when I saw them in like, one of the episodes and they were rekindling, I'm like, you guys are so cute together. Like, I understand why you were together. But it's also like, I just feel like they're different people. Like, I really feel like when I look at them separately, they don't really come off as the same person. I think like Issa's this one person where she's, you know, I don't know, I just think like they don't align in certain ways. I feel like Issa's about the culture, she's about like the community, she's doing, you know what I mean? Whereas Lawrence is just like a average guy that's working in tech, doing great for himself. They have great banter, they have the same sense of humor. I feel like foundations are similar, but I don't feel like the passion is aligned. I think it's always like, I don't see that, but I see it in Nathan, where he has that part of Issa. You know, they have the same like belief in what they want in this life and all that kind of stuff. But I just feel like Nathan is also a little bit selfish. But I also think, you know, he's got his own issues. Because when I watched it, I was like, this nigga just better not. How you gonna say I'm gonna move? That's what pisses me off about like niggas sometimes. Because they just say things and it's like, you just say it and then it's just like, did you just hear what you just said? Talking about like, I think I have to leave the city, or like casually, like you're in a relationship now. Where's the consideration for this person that you're talking to? Yeah. It's like they're almost talking to a friend and they don't realize what they're saying. Is she supposed to just be like, oh, I totally get it. Like, you know, I would feel the same way too. No, she's obviously going to be thinking about herself in the situation because you're in a relationship with her. Yeah, of course. But then he flipped it and was like, now it's all about you. Where it's like, there's a lack of communication. Like, you could say, I had a shit time at work. You know, these people are, like, I've outgrown the place I'm working at. And I feel like I need something new. And then you can talk about that. Instead of saying, like, popping off and saying, like, I need to bounce out of the city. It's very like escape kind of mentality, which would be triggering for Issa because he's done that before where you've just up and left. Yeah, no, that's all like... Yeah. We're talking about Nathan, by the way. Yeah. No, because I remember the fight at the end and I remember being like, wait, what? That's what I said. But then I was like... I just like completely agree. Like, there's obviously a massive lack of communication happening there, and I feel like Nathan is like high key, feeling a type of way. Like, I think he's feeling like because you know how he was like, you're just so inconsistent. Like, you don't want me, you want me, and you want to take things slow, but then you tell me that you love me, and like, I just feel like he can sense that they're not that compatible and that she is like maybe like kind of forcing it, and I think that he is not confronting those feelings and instead is trying to get away from like his job. Like, it's like he's trying to get like, but then like something like a reaction. That's a good point. Yeah, like he's just there and he probably feels very insecure in every way. Yeah, but you know what confused me? Yeah, I forgot in the episode before that when did she tell him that she loved him? Do you remember when they were looking for Molly's dog? And they were sitting on the bench and she goes, that's why I love you. Yeah. But that was so I feel like that's such a different, like, kind of, like, it's not like I'm in love with you. That's just like, you know, it's like, shit, I love you, man. Yeah, she said it. That's why their dynamic is so weird. It's like she said it as a friend. You can't... If I heard that
and I had been cool with someone as a friend for time, which they were.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to take it. I wouldn't be like, oh,
like, I love you too. Like, he really went in for the kids. I feel like their relationship is awkward now. I don't get what they're doing. I just think it's forced. To be fair with you, I feel like I don't think it's forced because they've had moments in the past where it's like, this is something. But now I just feel like, I don't know if the producers or like Issa is just trying to like steer away from Nathan. I don't know, I was really rooting for him.
Yeah, I mean...
But I get it. I definitely feel like they have some sort of compatibility. I just feel like it feels like it's fizzling out. It feels like Nathan is like 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what she said that she was feeling, you know, when she was like, you know, I told you that I loved, like, I feel like I'm all in and you're not there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I see that as well, but I don't feel like he's not there because he doesn't, like, love her and stuff. I just feel like he kind of senses that it's, like, not, like, it's just not, she may think that she's, like, all in, but I don't know if she is. I think that Lawrence is, like, still a thing for her, obviously. That's why she had that little, like, moment with the flashback with Condola.
Yeah.
What about the her fight with, is it Crenshaw?
Oh yeah, I was like,
Crenshaw?
Yeah, Crenshaw, yeah. I found that really, like, look, I get it. At like,
so the situation was,
so the situation was like, I think Issa started her own company, The Block, where she is, like, I guess highlighting, like, Southside LA culture, what's happening in her, like, neighborhoods and stuff like that. So Issa started The Block, and The Block is, like, this company that she has that she does, like, yeah, she, like, I think she just highlights things that's going on. Community events and stuff, yeah. So she gets, like, black-owned businesses in the community and helps them kind of, like, work at, like, I mean, be at festivals and things like that.
Yeah,
or, like,
it's very similar to, like, just like, like community, like, she'll get sponsors, like, big businesses or, like stuff like that. And then, she just collaborates with, like, artists, for example, obviously Crenshaw, and puts on big community events for the culture. It's like,
and so I'm like, I get where he was like, he had this whole act, and I don't know, I can't remember if it was political or something.
It was a music / fashion show, but then the issue was that it was, like, too political,
yeah. And so Issa was like, you need to tone it down, and then what happened was he ended up doing it anyway. And then she obviously was, like, freaking out because she had all these investors come in and they ended up loving it, and then he flipped on her and was kind of like, you basically, it's like, you're phony. He's like, you're phony, you're out here, we're having, like, deep conversations about, you know, I felt like we really connected on that issue, on that, like, yeah, I'm just trying, he's like, I felt like we were really in the trenches together and I could really relate to what you wanted to do and I respected it. But then you went and you flipped on me and you tried to water down my activism or, like, my work.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the same, I get that. Like, that's frustrating because it's like, you're here, you're trying to put on people, like, for the culture, you're doing all this stuff, why should they have to water down what their whole thing is, right?
Yeah.
But in the same breath, I felt like he was being, like, unreasonable. It's kind of like, she's trying to do something here. And maybe she didn't go about it the right way. Maybe there should be more of a conversation. It's kind of like, she's dealing with these white people. She's dealing with the big corporations. She's trying to put together something for her community to be able to, like, get into the mainstream, for people to get their bag, for people to get their recognition. And for him to say, you were just more focused on your bag. Not really. I think it's her reputation she's focused on, because it's like, at the end of the day, when you're doing something like that, you're going to get your bag anyway. You're going to get paid, but you want to be able to do it again. Yeah. You want people to be like, cool, this person put on this great show. I want to get them on next time. So she's obviously trying to build this reputation here and work with local artists and do this and do that. I think there needs to be a little bit of, like, consideration. I didn't like how he was kind of like... And then he came out with the shirt integrity. I was like, nigga.
Yeah, bitch.
I was shocked. Because it's just like... You do what she's doing then.
Yeah. I know. it's like, unfortunately, that's just like what you have to deal with when you're dealing with
white people. Yeah.
So for him to, like, obviously you can understand that she could have put more into backing
him,
what his vision was, because that's so messed up that he ended up doing it and they loved it. So it's like, but some people just don't have that backbone.
So I don't know that, and also it's like, if someone's telling you, like, no, it's like, I feel like it's a new space for her too.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, you finally get that opportunity. Let me just hold on to it. Let me just show you this one show.
Yeah.
And then we can move from there. And I think it's not fair that he had to, like, water down what he was trying to say, because at the end of the day, he's an artist and that's his messaging.
Yeah.
But I think, like, after the fact, like, you don't have to drag her name like that. You don't have to, she's given you that opportunity. She gave you that platform.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I don't know, I just feel like there could be more communication in between. Like, you didn't really need to do all that.
Yeah, no, he did not need to do all that. I thought it was extra, and I thought it was, like, really rich when he was like, yeah, like, you could have just come and had a conversation with me. Like, you didn't have to go, like, drag me as well. It's like...
She didn't even drag you. She literally DM'd you on, like, Twitter or whatever.
Literally, like, responding to the shit that you were saying. So, what do you mean? Like, it was just... I thought it was stupid, but... I guess, like, as an artist, like, for her to sort of, like, water him down is shit. But it's, like, that's just the reality of working in those spaces. So I'm sure that he'll go and work for another white production, whatever, that could do the same thing. So, yeah, I thought that was unfair. But I thought that Issa could have handled... Like, the way she came in with the brownies...
She's so awkward, but she always just does awkward shit. Like, why are you coming in? She's like... I come with brownie. What did she say? She's like, they're a family recipe. Not mine, but someone else's.
Yeah, I was like, why are you... Just come in... Like, why are you coming in like that? Like,
that's what makes me laugh. I think it's just kind of like... she's just like that person.
Yeah, she's just awkward. I mean, that's, like, very on brand for her. But anyway...
No, she takes it back anyway. She's like, integrity. She's like, I'm taking my brownies back. But I would too. You're not going to have any of these brownies. Anyways, that is like the whole thing with them. Molly's mom was like another thing that I was just like, my whole heart.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my god. I just couldn't imagine going through something like that with like a parent.
I know, it'd be horrible. But obviously she was fine.
She held it down, yeah.
And I think Molly and that lawyer guy obviously have a little bit of a situation.
I know, they didn't sleep together for sure.
Yeah, but I'm like, is this going to be her man? Because obviously she's being...
He has a wife and kids.
Oh, shit.
Oh, he has a wife. They're going to definitely have a work fling though, for sure. I think he has a wife. Yeah, he does. I don't know if he got kids, but I'm pretty sure he has a wife.
Damn. Okay, well, that's disappointing.
But Molly can't end up with a lawyer. If you're a lawyer, you can't end up with a lawyer. Like, why would you want to be with someone... Would you want to be with someone in the same profession as you?
Yes. Why not?
Boring.
You can talk about work. It's like you're the only person that's going to give a shit.
all my day at work, and then you come home, and then I have to listen to
I would love it. It's like you can mutually, like, bitch and complain. They get it. You know when you're, like, trying to talk to someone about just, like, shit that's going on.
That's what you have friends for.
Yeah, but they don't, like, people just, they don't really care. Even when people are trying to, like my sister, for example, will come home and, like, talk to me, or, like, she'll be like, blah, blah, this person did this. Like, I'm like, I don't know these people.
But she doesn't care for you to get it. She just needs someone to tell.
Yeah, but I want someone to get it.
Nah, I would love it. Hate for my man to be in the same thing as me. Like, let's work in different industries, and then we come back, we kind of vent about work, la la la, and then we just, like, move on, you know?
I would definitely not want to be working, like, actually together, like, seeing them every day. That would be too much. Like, seeing them every day, and then, like, going home and, like, being with them at night time. Like, ugh. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Shall we?
We shall move on? Alright, cool. So let's get into this week's topic. So we said we're going to be talking all about body image, what our relationship was with our body growing up and now. And, oh, hey, I saw your little dance.
Gotta play camera, bitch.
And why don't you just kick it off? Like, how did you feel growing up with your body? Like, what was your relationship with it? And I guess now, how do you feel?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing for me is that growing up, I was never, as soon as I, like, clicked to the age of, like, maybe 11, literally, once puberty started happening, I started, like, hyper analyzing my body. Like, I just noticed everything, like, at such a young age, which is crazy. Like, I remember thinking about, like, really wanting, I was, like, really flat-chested, because I was, like, a child, obviously. And I remember just, like, really wanting to have, like, big boobs. Yeah. And that was my thing. And then, like, as I went into high school, I had a horrible relationship with my body.
Did you feel like you were uncomfortable with it, or was it just, like...
Super uncomfortable. And obviously, like, as we know, being black on top of that was a whole situation. Going to an all-white school, I was just... And it was everything. Like, my body, my hair, we're not talking about that, but the combination of it together, you know, that's, like, a thing. Like, how I had my hair was so important to how I, like, perceived my body. Yeah. But I was always super self-conscious, and I was always... bigger, like I was like bigger definitely when I was in high school. I was the biggest, kind of like on the bigger end of my friend group. Like I was kind of like close to like the biggest in my friend group, so that was obviously really hard for me. So I had a lot of issues, and you know, puberty like does not help.
Everything just like did people make comments?
Yeah, so that was the other thing. Like, I just think it's so messed up, and tell me if you've experienced this. Like, when you really think about it, the amount, especially back in the day, people would comment on your body, like family, you know, like little things, like just talking about, you know, like I remember a family member I had my birthday, and I was like so excited, blah blah blah, like we all went camping for the weekend. And I had family there and stuff, and I remember them after it. So I went with all my friends, and obviously we were in like bikinis and stuff, going like swimming and stuff. And they were like, "Oh, you know, Rahel, like you realize that you're the biggest like out of your friend group." And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "You know, you should really like do something about that.
Like lose some weight.
Like lose some weight, you know, like you have to start thinking about your health, like blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, you know, I eat the same as all of my friends. Like it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with health. Like I'm just bigger. Stuff like that. Or like, you know, comments I would hear other family members make about, or friends, like the way other people would talk about big people, you know, analyzing their bodies, being like, "Oh, so-and-so, like, you know, like the other day I saw her wearing leggings, like, ew, fat people shouldn't wear leggings." Or like, you know, crop top, like fat people shouldn't wear like crop tops, like stuff like that. And I obviously felt that, and I never felt like I could dress the way that I wanted, because it's just like it always plays,
it's like it fully internalized
in your head, you know.
Yeah.
So it was just like really messed up to me to and then I started losing weight when I got to the end of high school. Yeah. And the way, it's like pretty privileged, the way that people treat you changes. It's so messed up. And I would say I was quite big. Like,
really? Yeah. I can't even imagine. I don't think I've ever seen photos of you.
Yeah, because it was a bad time. Like, there's like no photos. So the way that I like very much noticed, like all from like year 7 to year 10, I had no like romantic interest in me at all, like ever. And that was probably a combination of me being black and like kind of big. Yeah. And then like once I started losing weight, that completely switched up. Like the way you can feel people begin to notice you is like crazy.
It's uncomfortable too.
Yeah. It's so weird, because I was like invisible like a year ago, and now it's like you're trying to like, you know, I feel like a lot of things contributed to that. The started being cool and everything. So
even just like the whole beauty standard though, with like pretty. I just want to get into that as well after. Yeah. But it's a whole situation.
Yeah, it is. So it was just like like obviously it was just never. It's just where like I was taught to hate it, and no one ever told me. It was always like, you need to get skinny, like you need to lose weight. Even though like I would not characterize myself as like overweight, I just didn't have like a good body. So that was, I guess, my relationship growing up. How was it for you?
I feel like mine was like different in a way, because it was just like when I was younger, I felt like one thing my mum would always be like is like cover up, because I think from a young age I've always known that I was like a curvy girl. And I think, when did it start? I remember I was like, even when we were preparing for this episode, I remember when I was in primary school, I think I was in grade 3 or 4, and we used to wear casual clothes, just like those casual clothes days.
Yeah.
And I was a kind of a tomboy growing up. I love like jumpers and 3/4 shorts. That was just my look. And I would wear my 3/4 shorts.
So cute.
And I don't know who I thought I was. It was so funny. I'd wear like a baggy zip up jumper and my 3/4 shorts with my little braids.
Yeah.
And I was running, and then this kid was like, "Your butt is so big," and he's like laughing, and I'm like, "Is this a thing?" Like I was just like, but it was, you know, when you're a kid, you laugh it off. But then, I don't think it was specifically with just me. My mum would do this with all of us. But things like, we weren't allowed to wear leggings growing up. We weren't allowed to wear like, or if we wore them, we'd have to wear like a long shirt or a long dress. Like, you know what I mean? Something to cover it. Same with shorts. And it was just very like cover up. Especially when we went to like areas like Footscray and things, and there's uncles around. It was a thing where I'm just like I've always known to do that kind of stuff. Like I just felt like my body was always kind of like sexualized a little bit when I think about it. And it's weird because even now, like going into my older age, I've internalized that. Like if I wear like, even now I wear like shorts and I wear this and I wear a cardigan on top, because I feel a little bit, I do it and I force myself to do it because it's like, it is what it is. But I feel a bit uncomfortable walking around with just like everything out, because sometimes it's almost like this weird shame / like, oh, this is a bit, I don't want everyone looking at me that you've got attached to it.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so like growing up, I felt like that was the way I kind of saw myself. And I was pretty like, I think my body has been pretty like consistent until I got to like maybe 17. Between 17 and 20 was, or like 22-ish was when I kind of lost I was so skinny. I was like this 5'7", you know, girl who was weighing around like 50 kilos. 50, like, the older I got, maybe around like 22, 20, I was like, you know, in the mid 50s, a little bit high. I was getting higher, but it was just like, I was quite a skinny girl, and I think it was actually really bad because I was content with it. Like I would go home to my parents, my mum would say, you're so skinny, she called me all this stuff in Tigrinya, which is just like saying, like, you're a stick, basically. You're a stick, you don't have any food, look at it. She'll say all these things, and it's kind of like, I know it, but it didn't hit the way that it would hit if it was like another, like, I guess, if you're saying it if you're calling someone fat or you know, it's calling a big person, it's different because in the Western world, we idolize being skinny. But it was still a negative way that she was saying it to me. I go back to Ethiopia and my aunties be like, Wintana, you came back with just your eyes. Like, I'm like, all right, the first thing I come out of the car, and she was like, you just came back with your eyes. I'm like, hello to you too. But I feel like it was always like I was just a thin, like a skinny girl. And I just didn't really it wasn't healthy though, I can say that. I can say, like, and that's why it was really interesting to think about how, like, you associate being healthy with being skinny. I was the skinniest I've ever been, and I was probably the most unhealthy. And, you know, it's things like, I remember I went to a boxing session with Milena, and I literally we were there for like maybe 15 minutes. I was on the verge of throwing up. I was literally like, I need to get out. And we were just and then we even had a conversation about that, how, like, she is seen as a big girl who is, you know, I guess from like a societal perspective would be seen as someone who's more unhealthy, when really it's not even my diet was bad. It's just like I don't drink enough water. I don't like, you know, the meals I have are not consistent. All these things that are coming in, but because I look thin, people see me as someone who's healthy, when it's like, I don't work out, I don't do any of that. I'm probably more unfit than someone who looks bigger but is actually, you know, doing the opposite. So, I've had like, I feel like that whole thing was, so I don't know if I'm just sounding like...
No, that's just like, that's completely true. And that's the, that's kind of like the scam of it all. And I feel like that's the problem with how we're taught and like conditioned at such a young age through media and even through school and obviously through the way that people talk to you.
And it's so dangerous because it's like you've got people who are, my whole point is like you've got people that are probably super thin or people that fit this standard that like are not healthy but think they don't want to do anything about it because it's kind of like, why would they, when there's this positive affirmation that's attached to being skinny. It's kind of like you get more opportunity. We live in a society that is like, the more you fit into this ideal, skinny you are, lighter skin, you know, because white is right.
White is always right.
You know, the more skinny you are, the lighter you are, your hair, everything comes into it.
Yeah.
And if I feel like when they look at someone who is thinner, which was in that article you sent me as well, you see someone who's, quote, healthy, who that means, I feel like that kind of manifests into their life. So they're probably more organized, they're probably more like clean, they're this, they're that, blah, blah, blah. This person is a better candidate for me. So it's like when you are seen as someone who, like, like your body image is a huge thing to climbing up to like that ladder.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's in terms of my experience of like dieting and stuff like that. So obviously I always wanted to lose weight, and for me it wasn't about being healthy at all, especially when I was younger. It was always about being skinny. So I would literally like starve myself, you know, like especially when I was younger, like actually not eat and exercise like for like an hour a day, just like running to the point of like just exhaustion, you know, and I still like wouldn't lose weight and I wouldn't be happy and I wouldn't see results, so I would just quit, you know. And when it got to that's why talking about being skinny being associated with being healthy is such a warped way to look at it, because with like my weight loss was just associated to moving and not actually eating proper food. Like I was having McDonald's every day. Like and I lost weight because I wasn't eating real food, you know. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are like conventionally skinny that have those same type of diets and eating habits. So that's why you know, growing up like taking in all of that sort of media and all of that sort of information can really be so harmful for so many people.
And it's everywhere. Like when you think about it, you're scrolling on Instagram or TikTok or any, like, it's just, it comes up as an ad. It comes up as like, where else have I seen it where I'm like, what the hell? It'll be like, I think even just like when you're reading an article or something like that, or when I'm on Pinterest. I'm on Pinterest and I'm just like scrolling through random stuff, making like, you know, just like liking, pinning my pins. And I was like, why is this muffin top belly, da-da-da-da-da, keto diet, this and that. And it's like, it's constantly drilled into our heads and we don't realize how like, it's just kind of, it's like, living in your subconscious. Like you don't realize it, but it's there.
And do you remember how bad it was back in the day? Like I sent you I think on Instagram, and like Shameless podcast, they posted it ages ago on their Instagram, and it was just like all of like Dolly magazine, Girlfriend magazine, all of these magazines that we would read as kids, and the covers, and I remember it too, on every single front page there'd be something about there was one that was like, are you hungry or just sad?
What?
It was
so stupid. It's like, bitch, I'm hungry.
Literally, and it's like this.
I'm hungry, and
it was like, it was some shit like that. The same thing, like 5 ways to get rid of that muffin top, and you know, and then it would also have things about celebrities who are anorexic and like their issues. So that's the thing, because you know how you were saying before, like when you would have people comment on your weight in terms of being skinny. You know, that's obviously such an issue as well. It's just the fact that people feel a need to constantly, and they feel a right to comment on your body. Like, it's just weird. And especially as a young child.
You don't feel comfortable.
And don't tell me, Rahel, like, you look so good, like, you've lost so much weight. It's like, I look good now. There was nothing wrong with me before.
That's our culture, though. It's kind of like, it's so offensive for someone to... Because I was, like I said, I was someone who was, like, skinny to the point where it was, like, unhealthy. I was fatigued all the time. I was, like, it was really bad. And so... when I gained weight, it's like you never hear people saying like, oh, you look good, you've gained weight. It's not really a thing in our culture. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And I think it's because like, obviously like we've associated just looking good with being skinny.
Yeah.
But yeah, even back to the whole like diet culture, the whole like it's always like rapid changes, lose weight in 7 days. But I was gonna say something and I just completely slipped my mind.
I'm like, am I gonna get this? I'm like, yeah, no. I was gonna like, I guess even related to that. Do you remember like shows like The Biggest Loser? Well, that's obvious. Is that still a show?
I think. I don't know.
That's what that. I don't think it is. Is it? I don't know. But I mean, like, it wasn't cancelled that long ago. If that's the case, which is weird because.
What do you mean? Shows like Love Island. It's like you literally are on. You're forced to wear a bikini 24/7. You're supposed to have this chiseled body, all this stuff. I could never do that.
Well, that's the thing with like being a woman. It's like how it's so okay. So being fat is not okay. Being too skinny is not okay. It's like being too curvy is not okay. Like there's when I watch shows like Love Island, there's such a specific like shape that you're supposed to fit
100%,
into. And if you, because that's the thing for me growing up, like even now, because I'm not going to sit here, like I obviously still have a lot of issues with my body, a lot. So that's something that's like never gone away. And I feel like my problem now is that I don't feel like I fit into the image of what a black woman's body is supposed to be like. And I've like spoken about that before. So, like there's skinny and there's thick, and that thickness is sexualized a lot. Extremely, which is probably like your experience. It's also more desirable, and it's kind of like in our society you need to like fit into something, and if you don't, or if you're in a big body, then you're outside of that. And 95% of people, unless you go and get a BBL, aren't going to fit into those such like strict guidelines of what a desirable body is. So where does that leave us? Like,
and that's why I feel like we need to change. Like the whole, like I said, the whole diet culture thing is like, it's toxic because it's how do you lose weight? How do you? It's so focused on like. It's literally point A to point B. There's no conversation about your relationship with your body. There's no conversation about what you are actually trying to achieve. It's just like you just want to be skinny. Yeah. But you don't know it's not about being healthy. And like I was saying, you can be skinny but you can't be healthy, which is just as bad for your body, Yeah, of course. And I think like a lot of us are so obsessed with like losing the weight and not actually developing a relationship with our body or like trying to love the idea of being healthy. And that's the problem. That's why so many of us fail in this whole diet culture. That's why I've started like 10 diets over the lockdown, and I'm just like I stick to it for like 3 days and then I'm over it because I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know why I'm doing it. It's literally like I just want to lose this weight. I just want to lose this weight. And that's one thing that I wanted to say as well. Like I've struggled with during lockdown because I said I was someone who was really skinny, and then during the last 2 years, I feel like I've gained the most weight that I've had in my whole life, and it was like this weird feeling of like, oh, okay, it's cute, she's a little like thicky, and it's and I'm like, okay, this is nice, but then also I'm like, this is like a little bit uncomfortable as well because I'm just seeing certain things where I'm like, I don't really know if I like that. I don't even know if I want to be like, I just don't really want to be this. I feel heavy. I feel this. And then I'll be on TikTok, like looking at people who talk about like the ways that you can lose your belly fat, and it'll be like the most disgusting thing that you have to. It'll be like black coffee and lemon, and if you want to sweeten a honey, and I'm just like, we literally put ourselves through the most like disgusting diets and disgusting like you're struggling, or you're restricting yourself from eating and living. You're doing all this stuff, and that's why you end up bouncing back. Where I talk to a lot of my friends, a few of my friends who like jump back into the gym, or like who gained a lot of weight and now have lost the weight, and they're like, it's not about like, I don't see it as like, oh, I can't eat junk food anymore, this is so sad, or oh, like I have to make sure I'm disciplining myself for the next X amount of time. They don't see it as like a punishment. They see it as like, I'm just limiting my portions because I went overboard, or I'm just like trying to get back into it, and now that I'm into it, you know, a lot of people say you release dopamine or whatever when you get into the gym regularly, or you do things, and what I'm picking up is like, they don't see it as like, it's I'm doing this for X amount of time to really lose weight, and this is, it's kind of like this, it's a mindset switch, and it's a lifestyle switch. And I think that's the problem with the way that we're looking into diet culture, and it's not our fault, it's the way that it's been put out. And I think, you know, if these people put it out like, this is just a healthy, and like you said before, even what you were saying, you're like, you eat McDonald's or you eat shitty food and you feel like you lose a lot of weight. The opposite for me, where I feel like if I ate that, I'm putting on weight. Even if I eat home cooked meals, healthy meals, I'm putting on the weight. And that's the problem. It's not about, it's literally like, you can be eating the right foods, you can be doing the right thing, but it's just like, you still put on the weight. And I think, I don't know, it's like, what I'm trying to say is like, the relationship that we have with like the food and like the diet culture and everything is what's toxic. It's not like, I don't know, am I making sense? Because I feel like I'm rambling a little bit.
No, you touched on some like really some really great points. And I think there's like a lot to say there. I think that the like, without like talking about all the diet culture stuff, the thing is that there's just this whole like scam in society where people think that your body shape somehow relates to you being like, you eating badly, you being lazy, you not taking care of yourself, you being just unfit and all around just, you know, just a lazy person, which is just like so stupid, because we're all individuals, and obviously the way we intake food, the way our body processes food, what we do, and it's just like, that's like the scam. And then they make these diets or these exercise videos like directed at people, saying like, you know, like you said, like a 12-day fix, like do keto and like do these exercises, take this diet pill like back in the day. Remember diet pills and shit?
What do you mean? There's like the skinny me tea that still goes on now, like the influencers are still putting out there. It's so stupid, where it's like, there's everybody, let's take us for instance, we have different metabolisms, we have different body types. We can't, it's not a one shoe fits all, one size fits all type of thing. There's going to be different methods. And I think what I was trying to say is like, there's not enough push on what being healthy looks like, and what you need to like actually being healthy. Like it could be mindset wise, it could be like you're sleeping, it could be all these things that they're not touching on, and it's only pushing on exercise and food. And it's all of it is restricting or putting yourself in a situation where it's like you don't want to do it. So I think like the messaging completely needs to change. And I think like the body type and the whole like, this is what we should all look like needs to change. Like, does everybody just... What I don't understand is, like, they're pushing for everybody to just look the same.
I know. And it's, like, that's what's so messed up about it all. The standard, like we said, the standard is skinny. And that's what's desirable. That's what's, you know, that's what it's been like for, like, hundreds of years. So, like, such a ridiculous standard. And we all... Like, that's what I keep saying. Like, growing up, it was, like... I think things are starting to change now. I was going to talk about that later too, like the whole body positivity movement and stuff. But definitely I think like back in the day, especially like for me, and I think for a lot of people, like it was just shoved in your face. And when you really think about it, it's disgusting.
It's like, and also I don't think a lot of people even want that body. it's like I don't look at supermodels now and desire to have that. I really don't. Like when you look at like the what is it called? The top models, yeah. Like the supermodels.
Yeah, what do you mean?
I just feel like there's like Victoria's Secret. That's what
The top
like,
model.
Anyway, yeah, I don't want to be that skinny. I don't feel like that's something that I aspire to have. I feel like, and I feel like that's a lot of people. Like, you know, some people just prefer having different, like different bodies. Where it's like if you do want to. I don't know. I just feel like. I 100% believe that not everybody wants to have that kind of body type.
Definitely. Like, definitely not everyone. But I think that's like the...
You look up to it and you're like,
standard. And I think that if anyone had to choose, like... Not anyone. If there's someone that's trying to fit into the norm of, like, what's desirable, you're going to choose that type of body rather than a big body or a fat body. Because that's just like...
Okay, well, but I'm not saying if it's that option or that option. I'm just saying, like, if you were to choose your, like, ideal body, I don't think everyone would be like, yes, I want to look like a supermodel.
Yeah.
But it's not, like, not saying the alternative is to be, like, a big person. Because I know the society makes that out to be negative and one positive. So, obviously, you know. Yeah. But it's just, in general, I don't think people aspire to be... that, and I think that's okay.
Yeah.
And the problem is that all this messaging is pushing us to be that and not be okay with what we look like.
Yeah.
Like, I get the whole, like, you can push to be healthy because there's nothing wrong with that, but understand that healthy comes in different forms.
Yeah, and it should.
Yeah.
It should.
But what do you think about the whole Kim Kardashian and, like, her, like, taking out her butt implants or whatever, like her BBL, reducing her BBL? Didn't we talk about this trending thing?
Yes. So it was Kim Kardashian and Khloe Kardashian.
Did she do it too? I don't know.
It's foul.
It's just like rich. It's just very like typical. At first, I didn't really understand the issue. I was like, okay, like she went and did, but I'm like, no.
It's just it's connected to so much, and it's like, you know, it's the way that. It's connected to a trend, and I feel like what she was doing before which was completely appropriating black women's bodies, what they all did. It was so blatant as well, like everything. So now, you know, like BBLs are getting really popular, like everyone's getting them. They've been copying shit for like, which is not okay either, for the way that they look for a long time as well. And I just think she's kind of like moving into this phase of just kind of like, you know what they say, they're just like stripping off her like black woman's body, and now she's going and putting on her like white woman's body, you know. And I wouldn't be surprised if people start to follow suit, and there's like a shift as well. Even, I mean, it's a stretch, I have no idea, but like, you know, she's like dating like a white guy now, and like what's going on, like,
oh God, this girl's
and
just,
did
like,
you see
she
that
got
it's
bored
like,
of being black.
she got
That's
bored
what
of
it
being
was.
black. And so many people have done it. Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, Miley Cyrus
Ariana Grande.
Miley Cyrus was talking about like rap music and how she's like, I don't like rap because it's derogatory. Babe, you were all over the culture. You were all over it 10 seconds ago, but now you want to pick and choose, like, which, yeah, it can be. It can objectify women.
Of course.
But it's like, let's not make that your reasoning for not liking rap anymore, for not wanting to be a part of this culture. Yeah. Where it's like, you were literally a culture vulture 10 seconds ago.
10 seconds ago.
So it's just like, it's just the typical story of like, like, you know, you're done with it, you've moved on, the trend, you ate off it, you're done, and now you're like going to go back to your little white home. Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem with, that's the same issue when we talk about braids, when we talk about this. It's like, you want to come in and you love to cherry pick and have fun with it and do this whole aesthetic thing because it's trending, when whole time you're literally disrespecting us. You're literally not understanding that there's roles that women, like, we do it as a protective style. We do it, because we like it as well, but it's a protective style. It's a way to maintain our hair. It's part of our culture. It's all these things. And then you know, we actually like don't get considered for jobs. We actually are seen as like less professional in any environment that we go into when we have that. Or like it's not as beautiful when a black woman does it, but when a white woman does it, it's different. But you're doing it for fun. You do it because you think it's cute and cool or whatever, and then you decide you're over it and you move on. Just like this BBL situation.
Exactly. And that's why, you know, talking about bodies and stuff like that, being like a black woman in a black body before it was trending and you know, on brand and just like desirable was really hard. I mean, like, it was 2 seconds ago that having like a flat ass was like apparently like really hot, and like you know, in movies and stuff they'd be like, never, like, if your wife says like if her ass looks big, like, tell her no. You know, like, that was like
seen as like you're a big woman or whatever.
You know, and then the like Kardashians came and started a whole like trend, and now they're done with it, and it's just, it just does not sit right with me at all. I think it's really gross, and I think it's really weird how they're like probably like, oh, you know, like the average person is doing it now, so no, even though you forced these impossible standards on us and made them and lied about getting plastic surgery in the first place.
They're actually so weird. I hate how much influence they have over
like
some people. It's really just like yuck.
It's yuck, and that's the problem. Like, we're just like celebrity culture and like social media and everything, like, and back in the day magazines like show like Victoria's Secret, they make it seem like it's just, that's the norm, like that's what a body is supposed to be, and it's so ridiculous because we're all different, we come in different shapes and sizes, so to feel like that's attainable, and that's how I used to look at it, and I still do, like looking through social media and stuff, every single body that you see on there is perfect, unless it's some type of like, you know, body positivity thing.
And then, you know, like, oh, this is body positivity, like it's like you read it in a different way, you're you know what I mean, it's not kind of like, even though it gives you a reality check of like, yeah, this is real and like I do believe it, you still desire what's looking pretty and cute in that other photo. And like, and it also, it comes down, because it is systemic, it's literally comes down to the fact that like the problem with this society is that these beauty standards are held so highly that you know, it's synonymous with success. That's what it is. And
yeah, obviously like beauty and desirability and, you know, intelligence, everything. Like, it's all so interrelated. And talking about the you know, body positivity movement, I just think it's just, sometimes when I see it, like, it can almost feel like a trend to me, especially when you see like, for example, like you were saying, Victoria's Secret, so rich, because back in the day, they were the ones that were shoving these like ridiculously like perfect skinny models on us, you know, and making so much money out of that. It was a whole thing, like, you know, Victoria's Secret, the angels. And now they're switched up, you know, they're trying to be more inclusive and include like different body shapes and everything. And I'm just like, it's just because you know that you can't get away with doing that shit anymore. And
it's like big money. It's just like, it's literally all for money.
So
I don't know.
It's just like, it's just a bit like, to me, it's the same thing when you see diversity in like in ads and campaigns, and you know, there's like more black people and like billboards now, but it's like, has anything really changed?
Because then you have that reality check of like, remember the whole IGA situation that happened? Where it's like, you literally curate your own life when you live in your own world, and you have your friends that are all like similar mindset, you've got your social media that matches that, and then you think that everything is what it is, but then really, like, there's so much that's actually happening, and like small things give you a reality check. So
so I just wanted to ask, so like, where are you at now in terms of your, I guess, like, relationship with your body, and how's your, like...
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna like sit here and say like, yes, I'm all like I still have like now, like I said, I've gained weight. I'm still it's always in the back of my mind where I'm like, I need to be this and I need to like make sure I am this healthy and blah, blah, blah. And I think now I'm just trying to switch my mindset and slowly work towards just being a little bit more like nicer to myself and not being so like, you can't eat this and you can't eat that and oh, like you've gained weight here and this doesn't look good. I think I'm just trying to like still be healthy, which is like, you know, exercising, going for my walks, doing what I do, enjoying the food that I eat, but I just need to be realistic with not eating like 3 times what I eat on a normal basis. Like, it's really just like I look at it and I'm like, babes, you know where you got it from. Like, it's not just like, I'm not out here pretending like this weight just came onto me because I was sitting at home in lockdown. No, I eat big portions. And sometimes it's good to indulge and relax. Sometimes, but then in the same breath, you know what I mean? It's like, live your life, but have your limits. That's with everything in this world. You have to have boundaries. Yeah. You can't just act surprised. So I'm still like, I'm still like, I feel like I'm not crazy about this whole diet this and blah, 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 and like really get into... I had that phase where I was literally on TikTok, like, how can I lose this belly fat? And there was so many things on TikTok. There was cinnamon and honey and hot water, and there was a coffee, and I was just like really addicted to it. But now, I'm just like, just trying to have healthier habits. Yeah. And... like setting like boundaries with myself and just taking it easy. Like, I don't really want to force it onto myself. It's just kind of like, you know, and learning to just like, I don't feel like learning to love your body is easy. I think you're always going to be critical of it. So it's like, it's a process to genuinely feel comfortable in your own skin and to genuinely be like, I love everything. Is a process, even if you're tiny and skinny and thin, because I was that and I was still critiquing myself. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just like, and that's why it's more I'm focused on like a mindset shift than like trying to meet this goal. Yeah, I think that you put that really well. I think the whole like just trying to reach a, like, you know, your goal weight or get that summer body is like, it's just not, I mean, it definitely doesn't work for me. Like, it has never worked for me, and I've tried like literally every diet under the sun as well. And those like YouTube like workouts. Oh my god, do you remember when I was getting you onto them? I was like, Rahel, let's do it together. It's like a hell no for me. Shout out to her. What was her name again? I don't know, but her weight, they were too much. But it's like they weren't. It was just like... that was like a lot. I'm not like... I can't remember what her name was, but she killed it. Yeah. She made millions over lockdown. Anyway, so basically, like, I think that when I read that article, it actually, I was like, wow, like, she was saying, that, like, she was, like, quoting, like, an author or something, I can't remember. And then, she was like, it's, like, practicing radical self-love. And I was like, ugh, here we go. Oh my god, you're right, it's so annoying. That's why I just feel like sometimes you're just... Anyway, I wrote it down because I was like, so basically it was saying like, it should be more than self-confidence and acceptance, which is kind of like what body positivity is about. Yeah. And it was like, you know, radical self-love, that's what we need. And it's radical because it's going so against everything that we've ever been taught, like ever, from, you know, day one. And it's just about like treating your body, so just treating your body with compassion, which is basically like what you were saying. And it was saying like your body is worthy of being loved because it exists. And I was like, wow, like, right? So powerful. It's literally like your body is like your vessel in this life, and you need to treat it with kindness and compassion. And you like, I still like, you look at yourself in the mirror and it's just like critique everything. And like, I will say it all the time, like, I hate my body, and I've been saying that
since I was 11 years old, you know? So when you really think about that, that's something that you internalize, and you're going to internalize that, look at other people, compare yourself, and be like, and it doesn't matter how much weight you lose. And that's what we were talking about as well. Like, you're never going to get to a stage that where you're happy. Because like I said, I lost a lot of weight, and I'm obviously still not happy. And I don't see myself getting there. So I guess it's just about like that. What she was saying is about like transforming the way that you transforming the way that you think through like positive like self-talk, you know, taking care of taking out like toxic thinking, reframing your framework, unapologetic action, and collective compassion. So obviously there was like, I like copy and paste like all of it, but I'm like,
we should like we'll share this article.
Yeah, because it was really good. It was like quite powerful, and I want to read the book that she was talking about. But when you think about it, it's pretty like, well, yeah. But what you know, the thing is, it's really hard, and it takes practice, and it's really easy to sit there and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna like be kinder to myself.
Yeah. It's not...
In reality, it's like when you're scrolling through social media, or... Oh, you know what I hate?
What?
Do you know when you're out and you feel like you look really good?
Yeah.
And you just, like, feel like a hot bitch, like, blah, blah, blah. You might be wearing something, like, a bit tighter, really cute. And then you step into a public space where there's, like, other girls there, and you just, like... You just feel like shit.
You start to compare yourself.
Because you're just like, well, I thought I looked good, but I look like shit because look at all of these other... beautiful girls with perfect bodies, you know. So in those times, I think that's really hard.
Comparison is a killer in every like sense. If there's a way that you can practice manifesting, loving your body and doing that, it's doing things that make you feel good without judging yourself, or without thinking like, oh, because I look big, or because I feel uncut, I don't deserve to be like this. But it's like, you should, do you know what I mean? And I think like that's another way of like how we critique ourselves and put ourselves down.
Well, that's the thing.
That's just like, I just feel like you need to kind of be kinder to yourself, as much as it sounds a little bit like
eye roll.
Yeah, it's like you genuinely need to just do the things that make you happy.
Well, and I think that's what it is as well. And you know, for me, like, it's definitely been trying to be like conscious of stuff, blah blah blah. I think it's like it's a lot easier to say than to do.
There's a lot to this topic, and I think like it's one of those things where it's like there's a lot to say and there's a lot to unpack, but it's just like, overall I think the focus is trying to be healthy and understanding that healthy looks different, and also figuring out what you want from like whatever diet you're on or whatever like goal you're trying to achieve. Figure out what it is, and also understand that the world is a scam, and like these systems are all
they're built like, against us. They're built against women,
not forced to work. I don't know. It's just like, and men too. Though I feel like men. I feel like in this situation as well, men is like, you need to be this, and if you're not, it's kind of like, if you're not macho, where do you fit into?
So it's like we just need to like fight the patriarchy.
Period.
All
right, let's wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, beautiful people. We'll see you again in the studio next week. Ow!